It's been a really exciting week here. We've got our first eggs. These are from my cinnamon female crossed with the bamboo lemon blast male, so nothing crazy expected out of this, but still really nice clutch. We've got 7 healthy eggs and she had 1 slug as well, so almost perfect, not quite, more than I could have hoped for my first so the first season in general is going really well. All the females are bar one is questionable, but all of them are looking on target. The downside now is I have eggs, so I've got about 50 days left to pull my finger out and get this hatchling rack built. I've set myself a budget of about £500 for this build, and I wanted to match up existing rack, so with that in mind, let's get started with the design. So to start things off, with any rack system you need the tubs, so they're going to determine the size of everything else. I want to get a fairly decent sized tub so I can use it for holdbacks, and then it has to be practical, easy to clean, easy to get a hold of if I need replacements, and affordable, all that kind of stuff. So with that in mind, I headed to IKEA, and first up is the standard IKEA storage tub. I've got no idea what it's called, can't remember what size this one is, but it's a little bit too small. The snake in here is at 300 grams, so it's not too bad. Obviously a hatchling would be much smaller than this, but as I said, I wanted to use this as a holdback rack, so it's not really going to work for me. Other problems, the rim is a bit small. Yeah, those squares, they're going to make cleaning hell. So on to the next one. This next tub's a little bit interesting. It's a bit different. It's just a tub obviously, but it's part of the IKEA Trofast toy storage system. So essentially you can buy an almost ready-made rack, which would need a little bit of work for conversion. If something goes wrong with my build or something else, I can't get hold of any parts, this might be a good backup option. And it might be useful anyway as a backup overflow rack or a hatchling quarantine rack. So maybe I'll do that. If you want to see an IKEA hack snake rack, let me know in the comments. But for now, this is on the small side, so I'm going to keep looking. Okay, so IKEA was a bust. I didn't find anything, but I did find these A3 storage boxes at a local hardware store. They're made by Wham, who are like the default storage box company here in the UK. I guess they're kind of similar to Sterilite in the US. I actually use this brand for my other racks, so I know they're good. I know they're easy to get a hold of. They fit all the criteria. They're a really nice size. Looks comfortable in here. Actually, this snake is now about 600 grams, so I'm just going to grab him and see how he looks in here now. So as I said, for the rack design, I'm going to stick with the same sort of design as the old rack. It worked out really well, it still works really well, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I wanted to make this one slightly lower, so I've limited the number of tabs. I could potentially go to 3 rather than 2 columns, but 2 is more than enough for now. The reason I want to keep this a little bit lower is so it can double as a work surface for maintenance and that kind of thing. So this design generally looks good. We've got 2 columns and 9 tabs, so 18 in total. It's a really nice number because it divides equally into 3 banks of 6. I'm expecting to get 4 of the 5, we might get 5 females laying, but I'm expecting 4 of them to lay. So assuming they get around 6 eggs, plus we've had 7 in the first clutch, so maybe 25 babies. So if they were all coming at once, that might be a problem, but I've staggered the pairings, so hopefully I would have sold on some of these before the next ones come through, and 18 should be enough. Worst case scenario, if I really struggle, I can either put 4 half-sized tubs on the top. I can probably fit a couple on the top of my other rack as well, with mats and lids. Or I could do the IKEA rack as like an overflow system, but I think 18s could be more than enough. In terms of improvements to the existing design, there's not much I can do really, it just works really well. So I'm going to add some panels at the top to house the thermostats, so I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to cut them yet, but we'll come back to that. And I'll probably just drill through these corners, cut out the cross section, and then fold these areas back so I've got something just to fix the thermostat to. And this will give me a little compartment at the top of the rack as well for hiding all the cables and stuff. So that's the basic design. Let's take a look at some costs. Okay, so this is a basic spreadsheet that I built using Microsoft Excel just to work out some rough costs for the project. Frame I've got these from the same supplier that I used last time, so I'll go with the same ones, but I will shop around. Same for the panels, or most of the panel. Again, they're just fairly self-explanatory. Then we've got the top. I don't know what I'm going to do with the top yet, so I've just put in a budget cost. I've thought about a timber top. I don't want metal because you get that sort of impact noise when you hit metal, which will disturb all the snake. Maybe like a kitchen worktop type thing, but that might be too thick. I don't know. We'll come back to it, but I put a little bit of money in there. Most of the fixings I've found just prices online. The worktop fixings, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. And casters, I just put a budget in there. Then for heating, I've just put £100 each for those. Tubs, I bought the ones I got for £5, so I'm assuming I can still get them for £5. So we come out at £613, 17 plus, and then that equates to £34 per tub. But I think we can better that, so we'll come back to the design again once some time to think about it.
2 days later.
The spreadsheet is updated from the old one. It's basically the same, but I've made some savings as I've changed the design a little bit. So the frame is the same. There's not much we can do with that. It kind of is what it is. As for the panels, we've got a bit of a save in here. I've dropped the back panel, so I'm going to do a bracing system instead, which we'll come onto in a second. Three-way connectors are what they are, and this cross brace is what I'm going to do instead of the back panel. So we're going to put 4 cross braces, one on each, one on the back on each side of the frame and one on each side of the frame. These are IKEA spares from the Ivar shelving system, so they cost £2 each. Plus there's £2 for delivery, so I've added that down there. But the back panel I think was £20. Let's just bring it up. What's the back panel? 21.29, so less than half the cost there, which is great. Also reducing the number of corner braces, so that'll be really good as well. Casters, I've gone for these Hatchling, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that, but they are casters for underbed storage units. But they're rated for 40 kilograms. They've got sort of stainless steel framing with rubber wheels, so they're going to be really good. As far as the weight of this unit, I'm just going to pull this across real quick, hopefully. Yeah, so the total weight of this, I've got the weight of the frame and stuff so far, taken from the steel supply or the aluminium supplier, and the total weight of the frame and the shelves and the corner connectors is just 16.9 kilograms. So, you know, the whole thing's probably going to come out to like 20 kilograms maybe, or plus the snakes and stuff, maybe 30 kilograms at most. So we've got 6 wheels rated 40 kilograms each. Not going to be a problem at all. The heat cable, I'm going to use 7-meter standard heat cable, which costs $19.99 each. So I'll just bring up the drawing here. Where have we got with our drawing? Here. Let's pull this over here so you can see it. So each one of these represents a vertical bay, so that'd be like bay 1, bay 2, and bay 3. And I've just sort of looped the cable around, and then this little step here is the equivalent vertical height. So the total length of this cable is 6.3 meters, which gives me 3 rows across each shelf along the back third, which is going to work out really well. And I've got plenty of tolerance. And because I've got banks of 6, I can split these up sort of individually, so they'll be, you know, these bank here, this bank here, this bank here, and I can switch them on and off depending on how many snakes I've got in there at any one time. Let's get back to the costs and right. Sorry, there we go. Where were we? Casters, heat cable, thermostats. I'm going to use the Komodo mini stats, I think they are. They're just little 100-watt thermostats. They're black, they look kind of nice, they're really easy to use, and they work really well with the cable. They're the same one I've got in the old rack. Confident that's going to work out really well. The tubs are basically the same, they're the 14.75 litre tubs. I bought one for £5, so potentially I might be able to get a discount if I'm buying 18, or I might buy 20 if I can get them in a bulk deal. And then postage, so this $5.94 is postage for the casters, so the total casters comes to about a bit less than £12, and £2 for IKEA, obviously, as I mentioned earlier. And that takes us to a total of £509 or £28 per cage, which is pretty much where I want to be on my budget. Kind of happy with a little bit extra over there. And my spend to date, so I've already ordered a lot of this materials. We've got obviously the casters are all done, then all the metalwork is bought and the corner braces. I've still got some rib nuts and some machine screws left over, so I might not need to buy as many. I think I've got some corner braces, so I might not need to buy so many of these as well. Back to the corner braces, actually, I don't think I went into that, but I've removed the corner braces from the corners of the rack, but I may keep them on the base panel just to make sure this is really rigid. I may also do it for the top as well, which will add a little bit of extra cost, but it's, you know, £4 for an extra pack of 10, so it's not too bad. And that should make sure that this is really, really solid. Anything else to cover on the costs? Probably not. That all seems to work out just fine. So I'm going to leave this video there. In the next video we'll probably start looking at the materials, sorting that out. Maybe start putting some stuff together, folding some shelves. One other thing probably to add on, as far as costs go, I haven't actually allowed for things like timber, so I'll be using a sheet of MDF and some scrap timber to make up jigs for folding the shelves to make sure they're all accurate. I'm also a price for tools. Most of the tools you use for this build will be fairly standard stuff that you have around the house, drills and hammers and screwdrivers, that kind of thing. But I will be using a riv nut gun. I used the riv nut gun for the last build. I've already got one, but I did get a lot of questions about this, so I put it down in the description. I've also bought a bender, and this is just going to make my life so much easier. It's going to make it so much quicker to do all these folds. You can fold them manually, but I really wouldn't recommend that. But you know, if you want to save yourself, I think I paid £56 or £58 for this. For me it's worth that, just to save the time, and you could probably sell it on afterwards if you're not going to use it. Then the other thing I bought specifically for this build was a workbench, and it was just the cheapest workbench on Amazon, the cheapest workbench that kind of comes apart. So I'll put links to all these in the description. They're affiliate links, so if you click on them I'll pay. They're also the cheapest stuff I could find, so they're probably the cheapest you'll be able to find, so it should save you a bit of money and a bit of time through searching. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there for today. In the next video hopefully we'll start folding some shelves.